So, quick welcome to the first edition of the Ink and Income podcast. And I've invited somebody onto the show who I've known for quite a few years now, Stuart Forster. How are you doing, Stu?
How you doing? Good.
Yeah, good, mate, good. So, the reason I've invited you on specifically, first of all, we've known each other for quite a while and we've worked with each other, but you are somebody who I think had so much of a career prior to tattooing, realized that you had this incredible talent that you've got and brought it over to tattooing, that I wanted people to actually see that not everyone's just a college kid who came out of college and got into art and stuff. Some people have found tattooing even though they had something beforehand and just fell in love with the industry so much that you've actually dedicated your life to it now. So tell us a little bit about who you are, Stu, what your studio is, where you're at, and I want to know about your background and what got you into tattooing.
Cool. Yeah, as you said, name's Stuart Forster. My studio is Resurrection Studio. This is my second studio. I have another studio in Sarum in Hampshire, just outside Portsmouth. Um, I opened this studio in March 26th, having run my other studio for 3 years. But I moved to
So this your brand new studio, this one.
This is my brand new studio. Moved to Somerset 2 years ago, and I was travelling back to work in Hampshire. That just became a little bit untenable. Then things sort of came to a head last year after a pretty nasty motorbike accident, and I was just stretching myself too thin, and I was like, right, okay, let's take myself off the road. Put all my eggs in one basket. Give Somerset a good shout. So opened up a studio in Street in Somerset, just opposite Clark's Village, which is a incredibly awesome outlet shopping centre just down the road from Glastonbury. My journey into the industry was, I kind of did fall into it, although I always wanted to be a tattooist. Always. I was always
Mhm.
into art, loved it, painting, drawing since I was a kid.
Mate, like, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but just to let everybody know, when I very first visited your studio, you're an airbrush artist. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. So I think it would be good if you send me over some images of some of your airbrushing that I've done so I can install them onto the podcast to show people the standard that you work to. Because for anybody watching this, Stu is genuinely, and I'm not just saying this, I don't think I've ever seen a better airbrush artist in my life. When I visited your studio, mate, I, I was blown away, and I told you that, didn't I? You had
Yeah.
the Terminator on your wall and stuff, and it was just mind-blowingly good stuff. So don't undersell yourself
Mm.
and just say, oh, no, I was interested in that. Genuinely one of the best airbrush artists I've ever met anywhere in the world.
Oh, thank you.
Carry on, mate.
Yeah.
Go
Well,
for it.
yeah, I got into airbrushing because uh, I didn't like law at college, hated it. In fact, it was the only lesson I skipped. I did law, history, and art. Hated art, and yeah, became a lawyer. You know, I love law, really gelled with it, and yeah, I wanted a proper career, stability, safety, and all that rubbish that goes with it. Um, but then, newly qualified lawyer, the financial crash of 2007 and 8 came along, and it
Mhm.
destabilized everything. Everything fell apart. I was facing redundancy, as were
Yep.
half the law firm. So this perfect career wasn't so perfect after all, and I still had lots of student debts to pay off. And I started to look at art as a way of earning money on the side to pay these debts.
Mhm.
I used to do a lot of miniatures, painting, Games Workshop stuff. And I
Oh,
thought,
Warhammer 40K and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking at that. And then it was a question of, also I play the drums, always play the drums. And DW started to do airbrush kits. Obviously I wanted one, but 3 or 4K was out of my budget. And someone said, well, why don't you have a go? You're good at art. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, why not? So I got
Mhm.
myself a brush and I painted my old kit. Turned out really well. And then that was that kind of exploded on the sideline. I was doing, before you know it, helmets, bike tanks,
Right.
rules, canvases.
So you
Yeah.
slipped into that quite naturally then. That was something that
Yeah.
came easily to you.
Yeah. I loved it. I was running it parallel to working during the week. So the weekend and evenings.
Mhm.
best hobby, best paid hobby in the world, really.
Yep.
And that went on and on and on. And within 3 months of beginning to airbrush, I was at Earl's Court doing a live demo, working for Iwata, who make all the airbrushes. Because I
Fantastic.
can talk and work,
Mhm,
they were like, you're perfect. Off you go. Met some phenomenal people who I'm still in touch with now, and
mhm. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that took me all over the place, doing stuff for TV magazines, working for other airbrush artists who were commissioned. My good friend Piers, he was commissioned to do all the Top Gear stuff.
Yeah,
The,
outstanding, mate.
the Valkyrie helmets for the Aston Martin Valkyrie, you get a special helmet with that. Even to be involved, on the side with that was really really
Mhm.
cool. And then of course doing demos at tattoo conventions. So became um, really good friends with all the Portsmouth tattooists through airbrushing, ironically.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, brilliant.
they knew my artwork, and I became really good friends with Stevie Willett, who ran the Portsmouth convention.
Mhm.
Um, Amazing guy. I was teaching him
Yeah,
now.
good guy, Steve.
He uh, he was painting trophies to to give to people at the conventions for the awards. And yeah, I was demoing at the 2010 or 11 convention, and
Mhm,
there these guys I knew and respected were coming up and saying, "Well, why aren't you tattooing?" And I was like, "Well, I'd love to tattoo, but you guys, you know, kind of sent me away for years and years and years, and
mhm.
I'm now, boring lawyer. I just do this on the side." And they were like, "No, no, no, you should get into tattooing." So that was kind of like the thumbs up, the rubber stamp, the
Yeah.
acceptance into a very nepotistic, very closed industry. And Portsmouth's a
Mhm.
tough, you know, you know, chew you up and spit you out as quick as a flash. So to have
Absolutely, mate. Yeah.
guys I really respected, um, who were coming round, my house and showing me how to tattoo, my mates,
Unreal.
and that
Yeah,
was
fantastic.
that was awesome. And then I ended up doing my apprenticeship with a chap I was teaching airbrushing. And I moved up to London, did my apprenticeship up there, which was tough as it should be.
Yeah, of
And
course.
uh, yeah, I was just absolutely kind of exhausted. And again, another motorbike accident on the way back home one day, and that was kind of the end of my apprenticeship. Broke my ankle. And he
You
was
need to get yourself a pedal bike or something,
yeah,
Stu.
he was
Serious, mate.
oh, he was a tough old cookie. He was just like, "You've got appointments Monday. I want you up here." And I literally, my purple ankle is just like, yeah, I can't stand up. My bike's smashed to pieces. He's like, "I don't care." And I was just like, "Okay, I think I'm done."
Yeah.
And yeah, came back to Portsmouth, and yeah, started working down in Portsmouth, Southampton, Gosport.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's kind of how I got into the industry. And when COVID came along, that was the second big destabilizing event after the financial crash. It
Yep.
was a step back again. I was just like, okay, well, I was running tattooing and um, law side by side because I couldn't get a mortgage for tattooing. As much as I was earning good money, I didn't have the accounts, the backup, the history
Yeah, of course.
wasn't
Mhm,
consistent enough. I was sort of dipping in and out. So I had to go back into law to get myself a mortgage, bought my house in
mhm.
2015. And again, run them side by side until COVID hit, and then that step back to say, okay, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? And I was like, no, 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 tattooing is the way forward. And then I
Needs
was,
to be tattooing. Yeah, of course,
yeah,
mate.
then I was full time at my pal Jez's shop in Gosport, and we'd built a crocodile enclosure over lockdown, and we adopted this rescue caiman who's amazing. Yeah, really cool studio, really good vibe, amazing artists, and very
Mhm,
good family, very very cool family vibe. And but yeah, after a while, it was time to do my own thing.
of
So yeah,
course.
opened my studio in 23,
Yeah.
in
This is
Hampshire.
the studio that I visited you at, wasn't it? In
That
Fareham.
was, yeah, that was a brand
Yeah.
new building.
Mhm.
Lovely, bespoke, made to how I wanted it to be.
Yeah,
Uh,
good location,
yeah,
right on the road and everything. Mhm,
so I had the space to, which has kind of led to the name Resurrection, because I wanted to do
mhm.
everything under one roof. I wanted to bring back all the stuff I've been doing over the years, airbrushing, pinstriping, gilding, gold leafing, all
Yep.
that custom side of things, and fine art, and
Mhm.
just have a whole art space which is dedicated to art, and yeah, all under one roof.
So when you started Resurrection, is
Mhm.
that when you dropped doing the law? Was that the cutoff where you
I
said, "I'm
dropped
doing my own thing"?
I dropped the law after COVID and went full time in tattooing at Jez's place. straight
Mhm.
after COVID, and that was the best decision ever. And we were flat out down there. Obviously, everyone was itching to get tattooed after the forced sabbatical that we
Yeah,
all
of
had.
course there were.
We were
Yeah, absolutely.
day and a half sits a day, so we were all earning
Yeah.
really good money. It was literally floodgates open. We were
It
grafting
was, mate.
day
Yeah,
and night.
straight after COVID, it was kinda like it
Oh,
was
it
like
was
the
all,
starting line of a horse race, wasn't it? Everyone just
yeah.
burst out of the gates and, like, kinda get us back in as quick as possible.
Yeah. It was absolute make hay while the sun shines.
Mhm.
And yeah, that gave me the finances to do my own thing. I had a decent amount of money in the bank, and shortly after I met my partner Caroline, and I was itching to spend all the money, and I was like, I want to get myself a flash car, and she's just like,
Mhm.
well,
That's what happens,
why don't you
yeah.
reinvest in yourself and open your own studio rather than paying half your wages to someone else? And I was like, that's a great idea, but not very. That's a bit boring, isn't it? Anyway, opened my own studio.
Could have had an Aston or something instead.
Yeah. So, and it was the best decision. It was 100% the best decision.
Yeah.
It is scary. It's a huge commitment. I say I was very fortunate to be in the position to buy it, as in just buy it.
Bought the entire premises, yeah?
I didn't need to get a mortgage or anything. So,
Okay.
but again, it is also a millstone around your neck. It is a huge liability. It's you turn into being very asset rich and cash poor.
Yep,
Although you can have
absolutely.
heads that I do in this place. I've got rent that goes out every single month, and
Uh-huh,
opening a new studio is very scary without that income. Nobody knows me here at all.
of
I'm
course. Mhm,
brand new. As much as I've got a huge client base in Hampshire,
mhm.
as you know, I'm terrible at posting work. All my work is
I
word of mouth.
hadn't noticed. I don't know what you're talking about.
My work is massively word of mouth, and that's set me really good for a very long time. And how I'm having to relearn social media, relearn all this networking and all the other stuff that I haven't touched for probably 10 years. And it feels like I've never touched it. And
Yeah.
having to relearn that is really, really, really difficult.
So this has been quite a big step into the dark for you, hasn't it? You've kind of went, okay, I'm starting from scratch, massive risk.
Yeah.
You've done all of the decoration as well. I mean, I must say this as well. A lot of people, when they start a tattoo studio, um, the aim is just to open the studio as quickly as possible. So some studios are just kind of thrown together.
Mm.
But you spent months doing your new studio, getting all of your coloring right, all of your decoration right, and really, really put something incredibly good together before you were willing to open. And that mattered to you.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah. I'm utter perfectionist. I'd say this is the fourth green I went through.
It's very nice, very nice.
It's good, but it matches the blue of the furniture.
It's not far off the screen, is it?
Good actually, yeah. But
Yeah,
the sage green,
tasteful.
the sage green I brought down from Hampshire, I put it on the walls. It just looked awful in here because the
Mhm.
light's completely different and
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful in Hampshire. It just didn't work in here. So yeah, after we ended up going to B&Q and getting Valspar to mix something up that I knew in my head. I had it on my phone. I was like, I want this. And yeah, I was very even the um, cladding and the bordering around the edges. It was grey, but it wasn't the right grey. So that's
Yeah.
all been changed. It had to have a
Mhm.
very very certain look, and even the framings that you saw, the frames in Hampshire, which were old
Yeah.
mirrors, built them into frames. Having them on the wall in black. We were sat there talking, and the mirrors on the wall, and the mirrors reflecting the green. And Karen was like, "Do you know what? I think it'd be awesome if you take the backs off and paint all that green instead, because it
Yeah.
adds." Brilliant, cool.
Absolutely.
Pain, but best decision ever. It just spreads the color out, and it works amazing. Still got stuff to do, but it did get to the point. I mean, it's a very, very, very old building, probably 200 years old. Um,
Okay.
the kitchen
Right.
and the
Really cool.
bathroom were chiseled out to nothing. That's what
Uh-huh.
took the time. But it did get to the point where I did have to open the door. I did have to start earning money again. The front of house was okay, but yeah, there is a point where you just have to draw the line and start earning again. Otherwise, you're just going to sink so much money into
Yeah.
perfectionism, basically. And I could find jobs to the end of the year to do and finesse, but it was
Yeah.
just get the door out. And everyone comes in and it's just like, wow, this is beautiful. But even the difficulty, because the glass is probably 40 years old, and trying to gild glass, water gild glass that old, so difficult to do. One window just wouldn't take, and one window was really good. The
Mhm.
door but with, it's just it wouldn't stick at all. So that's got a vinyl sticker on it. But yeah, the two gilded windows on the front look beautiful, and they're not as imposing as the one in Hampshire, which is like 2.5 meters by 2 meters tall. It's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. You had a big window. And the photos I've seen of your current studio, I mean, it's really, really impressive from the outside with that neon glow and everything you've got going. But when you've decorated the inside of this studio, one of the things that I bang on about a lot to tattoo artists, the number one pillar in the 7 pillars that I teach people is branding. I
Mm,
talk all of the time about branding yourself well and branding yourself powerfully, and how that branding carries from your website through to your studio to yourself personally. How big an consideration when you were putting your new studio together that we can see behind you, how much of a consideration was getting that branding absolutely spot on? I mean, you're here and you got your flat cap, your cravat, your tweed, and I love that. I absolutely love it. I tend to wear suits and waistcoats and stuff as a rule, but that branding, you remember this, the first time I saw it, I said, I love that.
yeah.
Absolutely love that because it just looked good on you and it went well with kind of the decoration that you had and the way that you were already branding your studio. So how much consideration have you actually give to the decoration when it comes to branding yourself and your business?
Um, that's top of the list, 100% all the time. The branding um, has to carry through to everything, even so far as obviously it sounds a silly thing, when you're shopping and stuff like that. People are like, "How'd you hear of us?" I ask that all the time, even when people come in to
Mhm.
ask about pricing something up. I mean, walk-ins here is crazy, which is great,
Fantastic. Yeah.
But a lot of people have said, as soon as I drove past and your sign went up, I knew that was the place for me. I was like, really?
100%, mate. It's so
Sign?
professional.
I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, just with the sign. What, before I even gilded the windows? Yeah, just the sign. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
wow, that's cool. And yeah, when you walk in, that's carried through, that rustic sort of bespoke, heritage looking feel. Yeah, it is carried through every single thing, even down to buying the lights for the window. The shades were wrong, the lamps were wrong, the rope on them was wrong. So we took them all apart, rebuilt them. We made one lamp out of three because it had to be right. And
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, you can go ultra fastidious and yeah, massively OCD to the point you're treading treacle and not moving forwards. But silly little things like that, which make such a massive impact. Again, bringing all the furniture down from Hampshire, bringing the desk down I made, which is, as you see
Oh,
it,
I love that desk.
it's made out of a Victorian snooker table. So
Yeah.
bringing that here as well was so important. And having the larder unit, having all that down here to carry that branding, and it works better here because it
Mhm.
has that setback look. It looks like as I said, it looks like a Harry Potter one shot from the outside. It's got that recessed door, beautiful. It just carries. It works better for my branding. That's the weird thing. The Hampshire studio is beautiful. It's a brand new building though, so adding that character was very difficult. Whereas here, the character just accentuated the branding and helped the branding and carried it further forward. So that was just,
Absolutely.
yeah, it was a no brainer. And as much as we joked about moving everything to Somerset for a couple of years,
Mhm.
as soon as we saw this building go up for rent, I was just like, yeah, that's the one. That's exactly what Fairham is missing for the branding.
Uh-huh.
Um, that is the one. And yeah, we literally went next door, landlord's next door, and spoke to him just because tattooing does have a stigma still, unfortunately. I just
Of
wanted him to
course.
know that, we're not you're not gonna have a bunch of scary tattoo thugs next door, that we are normal, articulate people, and we just love drawing on people, and that's what we do. So yeah, I had a chat with him, and I think it was a toss up with tattooing, a vape shop, and a convenience store. And luckily,
They got the
we
best of the three then, Stu, didn't they?
100%.
Let's
But we
face
get on
facts.
famously well. And he came in, and this has been lots of different things over the years. It was a barber's before, sweet shop, beauticians. And he walks in, he's just like, wow, this is beautiful. I love it.
It really is.
The
I mean,
stuff.
I'm gonna post some of the pictures that you've sent me on here, so I want people to actually understand the level that you've gone to, because I think you more than anyone who I've ever worked with. When I came to your studio in Fareham, and you remember this, I sat in your studio and it was so well decorated. And I said, I love the easels on the wall. You have one behind you. I love the way that you'd done your ink holders, the couch, everything worked well. It had a more modern shop front, so I totally understand where you're coming from. And I looked around and I was thinking, the desk from the snooker table blew my mind. Absolutely incredible. There's definitely a picture of that going on. But I looked up on the left at your wall, and there was a couple of little pictures along this small section that you had.
Mhm.
And the second I looked at them, I just went, no, they can't be there. Everything else in this shop works incredibly well. And then you have these three plastic picture frames that just stood out like a sore thumb. And I saw you take that on board. And then more than anybody I've ever worked with in the last 2.5 years, you basically went, I'm buying into this now. And I understand what that brand image, what the brand image that you give off, what that means and how impactful that is. So just three little picture frames on the wall to what you have now, more than anyone you've bought into it massively. And I think it benefits you massively as well, because from what I've seen when you were sending me them, and I'm a tattoo artist, obviously, I've seen hundreds and thousands of tattoo studios across the world. Yours made me go, wow, made me sit when you were sending me those photos and go, oh, that's so good. And I slight pangs of jealousy, like, fuck, I wish I could do that stuff. But it was absolutely awesome. And I looked and thought any tattoo artist would be proud of seeing that studio and then stepping in. That's just the outside. I thought the outside looked fantastic, but then stepping in and seeing what you've got inside, again, everything about it. Every client that ever walks in your studio will immediately think premium,
Mm.
immediately. And then you'll walk out in your cravat and your tweed and they'll go, "Ah, premium." That's just how
Yeah.
that works.
To be fair, I was the one letting it down, to be honest. And I'd done what I thought was right. I bought loads of branded polo shirts, t-shirts, hoodies, and I had the Resurrection logo on it. And yeah, spent a fair whack on that. It was not
Mm,
cheap stuff, but it
uh-huh,
lasted 6, 8, 9 months, and it was peeling off, and jeans and t-shirt and a baseball cap, and yeah, so I got a beautiful looking studio, beautiful looking artwork, and this trampy looking artist. So okay, I'm the weakest link in this equation.
mhm,
But like I say, moving to street, it's a beautiful town. You've got Millfield School at the end, which
uh-huh,
is 60, 70 grand a year. It's a very, very well to do area. And, moving to the country, you get to wear tweed and eat a lot of peaches.
uh-huh,
So yeah, it made sense. It made absolute sense to do that. And I say I went to Clark's Village and spent 2,500 quid and got a whole wardrobe, which looks 10 times better. So from a
fantastic.
business point of view, it's cost effective. It works, makes you look
Uh-huh,
better, carries your brand forwards, win
yeah,
win. And
exactly. And it impacts your client. That's the thing. It
yeah,
genuinely does. I don't think I drill on about this a lot. And for the sake of this podcast, I wanted to make it clear to people how important branding is, because I do drill on about it. And I tell you this, genuinely, 95% of clients do not care about branding. They don't think about it. It doesn't make any difference to them. They think about logo and
mm,
that's about it. But when it comes to the branding their overall business image and every single part of it, it does matter, because psychologically, your clients are affected by the way that you present yourself, the way that your studio is presented, the way that everything that you outwardly put in front of them looks and makes them feel. That's all encompassed in the brand. And like I said, you yourself have really bought into that. And every single part of what I've seen you do ever since then has always been massively professional, but incredibly makes your business look welcoming and premium and fit in with where you've actually moved yourself to. Some people would have whacked yellow on the wall and had a checkered floor and not really thought about the whole image, but you've gone into it in depth and it benefits you massively.
yeah. And I think having experienced that myself, you do, and when you're aware of it, you see it more and you
Uh-huh.
understand it and you feel it from other people. So the branding, which I would probably say is so paramount from the inception of that relationship, when they first contact you, to get even an email response with the right email address, not just like, Bob's Tattoos at Hotmail,
Uh-huh.
having it from admin at resurrection.co.uk, having a
Yep.
proper signature, which signed off with a link to the website, with a booking link. All
Yeah,
that's the
super
first thing
professional.
you're going to get out of a minimum. If they don't walk into the studio, they've still got a professional email address, a professional response, professional signature, which leads into a professional website.
Mhm.
That, again, that relationship from the inception is where you get. Well, I suppose we had the same, in law. I wore a three piece every single day, even on non-uniform day for charity days. I still wore it because you never knew
Right.
when someone was going to walk in off the street and talk to you. And as
Uh-huh.
much as I'd love to sit there in jeans and t-shirt, if you're talking to something really serious, they've got to buy into you and believe in you and have faith in you. And if you're
Yeah,
not,
we've got to trust you.
yeah, if you're not in it, I suppose you've got that professionalism in, law, but same thing with branding in here. If they don't listen to you, believe in you and trust you, and that carries that it's a brand that they can trust, essentially. That's what you're building, a brand that they can,
Absolutely.
and they don't say, we've had lots of people, even in the short, 6, 7 weeks we've been open. We've had people coming in here who have seen my work and they've gone, go and see Resurrection. They haven't seen Go and see Stew. They're going to see Resurrection
Uh-huh.
because that's the brand. That's what's being spoken about. The studio,
Mhm.
not me. Whereas the first probably half of my career was Go and see Stew, Go and see Stew. The same thing
Yep.
as well. I knew
Mhm.
some phenomenal tattooists in Portsmouth. I couldn't tell you what their shop was called. I
Uh-huh.
mean, Downstairs was the name in Portsmouth for decades. I
Uh-huh.
couldn't tell you he worked at Unique Tattoos for probably 5, 6 years. And that's because it was just him. That was
So
that.
he was
He was
effectively more powerful a brand than the studio was.
Yeah, I mean, to say that, local legend, that his
Mm,
name was on
of
the
course.
everyone, he was top of the tree, and I suppose that's a brand in itself, and he carried that standard, which he carried through. So yeah, in essence, branding is everywhere. If you really want to dial down on it, it is everywhere.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it's so, so, so important. Even stupid stuff like, I've got some old vintage clocks and phones and stuff I've got and restored and put on the walls. But as much as they're restored to me. They've got a little bit of me in them. So with
Yeah,
essence, I've branded them. They follow
of
the
course,
same
absolutely.
scheme, that rusticness, polish the brass up and all that sort of stuff. Maybe put a logo on it, airbrush it on or something like that, engrave it into the glass. They're all tailored to carry that branding forward. But I think there is a danger you can do too much. You can, if you stick your logo everywhere, it's a
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
saturated. But just that subtlety works phenomenally well. It really does.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. Like branding doesn't necessarily need to be in your face.
Mm,
Subtlety, a lot of the time, if you think about Apple, I mean, at the
mm,
end of the day, everything's super white, clean lines. The Apple logo is quite unassuming. So subtlety is absolutely the key word there. What I do want to ask you about now, you spoke about your career where
mm.
you'd been a lawyer, you'd exploded on the airbrushing scene, started as a lawyer, financial crash hits, 2008. I was in banking at that time, Stu. I literally started my banking career on April the 1st, 2008, on April Fool's Day,
Fun.
2008. And then the crash happened immediately afterwards. So we both experienced that year and well, those next couple of years and how bad that was for a range of industries. So you got hit by that, and then COVID hit all of us in 2020. And I don't want to talk too much about COVID. I have my feelings about that. I'd rather concentrate on how that affected us in the industry. So what I want to get round to is you've took some really hard knocks. You've took some really, really hard knocks when you've been in your previous career and in this industry as well. So what would you say was the hardest point for you in your tattoo career when you've actually been to a point where you thought, is this worth it? And then what did you do to dig your way back out of it and get yourself to where you are now?
I think people rarely have these life changing events. And like I say, 9/11 was one. Um, the financial crash was another, and COVID was another. Regardless of the conspiracy theories about all three of them, um, they do basically make people stop and think: where am I going with my life? What have I done? Am I proud of where I am? What do I want to change going forwards? Same thing happened when I was in law after all these events. Divorce rate went through the roof because people were like,
Mhm.
I'm not happy with marriage. Do you know what? I'm going to make some changes, etc., etc. So that was a good indication of people reassessing their lives. I think I still talk about this. It was quite early on in my career that it was probably 2014 was I was bouncing around between two studios. I was trying to split my time because I had lots of clients in Portsmouth and I was working at Dragstrip in Southampton, which is a phenomenal
Uh-huh.
studio. Fantastic artists there.
Yeah, I've heard really good things.
Yeah, it was really good. And trying to keep all these plates spinning was really, really hard. And I was trying to please everyone and I ended up pleasing no one.
Mm.
And yeah, I think,
So often the case, isn't it?
yeah. And it got to the point where I was traveling so much and I was doing such long hours and I wasn't really just earning any money. And, and even so, I remember being struggling to think, oh my God, I'm starving hungry and can't afford a Mars bar. And that was right. Okay. That's never going to happen again. And I think that was basically because I'd done really well on word of mouth. And
Right.
then I just thought that would carry me through forever and ever and ever. But I'd probably
Mm.
say I did allow that to repeat after I opened my own studio. Again, it was probably the motorbike accident last year when I was traveling back to Hampshire and I was just thinking, I'm working so much, but I just seem to be skinned. I don't
Mhm.
understand it. And it wasn't that forced sit down. Right. I'm stuck on the couch for 3 months. I've got a broken spine, pelvis, and all my ribs are done. Right. Let's have a look at the figures. And Caroline's does accountancy and bookkeeping and all that sort of stuff. We did spreadsheets and she's like, you're spending 5, 6, 700 quid a month on fuel. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay. You know,
it's crazy.
mm, you're doing this, you're spending that, you're doing this, your energy, your contract's expired. So you're paying full rate, on British gas. So that's changed from £50 a month to £150 a month. All these figures.
So easy to do, yeah. As a tattoo artist, I think because we get paid every day and because we're
Yeah.
constantly got this flow of money, more than any career I've ever been in, people tend to not pay attention because it's fine. I'm making money every day, so they don't
Yeah.
tend to pay attention to the minutiae like that.
Yeah. And let's say we dialed into everything. And that was probably the catalyst that said, it did come to a head kind of last year. And I made the decision to move to Somerset, sell the Ferrum studio because, yeah, I was asset rich and cash poor.
Uh-huh.
I've still got a house to sell in Hampshire.
Okay.
So yeah, I've got a lot of assets, a lot of money tied up in assets. And as much as yeah, we tattoos, we earn good money, but it can disappear pretty quickly if you don't do make sensible business decisions. Now, I don't like sitting in front of a computer and doing all that. I did it for long enough. I just want to be creative, but
Yeah.
I suppose the problem I have is with that OCD nature. If I'm on it, I'm on it. So if I'm on the computer, if I'm doing spreadsheets and accounts and all this other stuff, I'm on it, on it, on it. And then the creative side gets suffers. It's kind of all or nothing all the time. Having a balance is very, very difficult because one side the business
Mhm.
brains we must do A, B, and C, and
Of
the
course.
creative brain's doing I want to do that, I want to do E, F, and G, and they fight a hell of a lot. So yeah, I would say last year was the worst, 100% the worst, and even now it's a bit scary. I mean, once the sale completes, I'll have cash in the bank and then yeah, that's going to see me through. But I'd probably say the last 6 months has been some very, very serious decision making processes to really knuckle things down. And it's been ruthless, an absolute ruthless process, like changing stupid things like changing your internet from, BT to Vodafone, saving myself 50, 60 quid a week, a month. And that's just like, that all helps.
Crazy. Of
Because when
course it
people,
does.
and some people are struggling, you need to really dial in on what is costing you money unnecessarily. And that's a
100%, mate.
horrible, boring thing to do. But from the business element of it, and I did business law for a long, long time, but we don't take our own advice, do we? So
No, of
ironically,
course not.
it's the wisdom from, Caroline and other people saying, absolutely zoom in on where you're hammering your money. And
Well,
when
more
you
than ever.
when you are
Yep.
making good, you're even making even better money.
Yeah, because
So
I mean, as a businessman, look, I mean, and this is something that's lost on a lot of tattoo artists. Tattoo artists, I don't think in the main consider themselves business people.
no, they don't.
I'm a tattoo artist. I'm not a businessman. And even just saying that out loud, psychologically, will trick your mind into thinking, I'm a tattoo artist, I'm not a businessman, I don't do business, no, I'm not expected to do business. So these little things that get missed all add up. And I mean, until I got into this industry, an old friend of mine, his dad always used to say, we used to call him a penny pinching, money grubbing, shit. And we used to think he was just the tightest man in the world. And his favorite saying was, if you look after the pennies, the pounds will look after themselves.
Yeah,
And I used to
100%.
just think, right, so you're a penny grubbing old man. But until I got into tattooing, until I started working with tattoo artists and seeing just how loose they are with their money, that phrase never had more meaning until I actually sat and went, oh, right. I see what he means. You have to be able to cross the T's, dot the I's, and make sure that am I getting the best deal on every single thing in my business? And then am I being as careful with my money as I can? Because it's better off in your pocket than it is in someone else's. And it can add up to hundreds of pounds a month. Just being
Yeah.
loose.
Yeah, and I think, don't get me wrong, I think my biggest issue is I don't outsource and delegate because I like to do everything myself. But there is a hell of a lot of reason to do so. I mean,
Mm,
idea accountants are supposed to save you more money than they costs, as are lawyers and other professionals. But at the same time, people don't have a handle on business, and even the wrong bit of advice. I mean, technically speaking, I got wrong advice when I bought the other studio. They were like, "Oh yeah, go VAT registered, claim this back." So, my other company that owns the other building is a VAT registered limited company. So I'm paying everything I own 20% VAT, gone out the window, paying 19% corporation tax, gone out the window, plus national
yeah.
insurance,
Hmm.
plus PAYE allowances. Then dividend tax has gone up to 11% nearly. So when you actually dial it in from a business perspective, from a financial point of view, you're earning 50p to the pound.
Yep.
Obviously, the new place,
Of
right?
course.
It's not VAT registered this time, and it's I've had to keep the other place for 3 years. Otherwise, I'm going to have to, I can't DVAT register without costing myself 30 grand
Of
because
course.
if
It's a
you
big
DVAT
old
register,
lumber now.
all the assets are realized
Hmm.
personally to the company and are attached. You pay VAT on that item as it stands at that point in time.
Uh-huh.
And some of this is, very boring and very complicated stuff, but it's knowledge that is freely available. But even doing people's accounts, I mean, I joked to Caroline, she'd make a killing doing tattooist accounts,
Uh-huh.
because
Absolutely.
they need to run their business as efficiently as possible, whether that's tax, profits, materials, all the rest of it. I mean, I don't really get a lot from tattoo suppliers because it's all got tattoo tax on it. I mean,
Of
the
course it
beds are
does.
my Hampshire studio, all electric, super duper, beautiful beds. They're from a physio company because they're
Uh-huh.
500 quid cheaper. Same bed, they're 500
Yep.
quid cheaper. And
As soon as you
the
put
bed,
the word tattoo on top of something, mate,
yeah,
companies just apply a premium to it.
mhm,
And I think people are becoming slightly more wise to this. You've got these companies now that own the biggest brands that we all know, and
yeah,
they'll take something that costs £7 and it's
hmm,
25 quid. And
yeah,
you can find it online elsewhere for 18 quid. But because it has tattoo wrote on it, those companies go, tattoo artists have got a lot of free cash. They're happy to spend this kind of thing. And let me tell you, Stuart, I mean, this is coming from somebody who I've owned a tattoo brand and I have got hundreds and hundreds of clients who've bought off us over the years. And my manager used to come to me and say, there's like 6 tattoo artists here who buy, say, needles. Okay. I'll show you. I'm actually sat next to my shelves. These are the needles I used to sell. So my manager will come to me and say, these people have bought 6 boxes of needles in the last month, but they bought 6 individual boxes of needles as if they've kind of gone into work on a morning and went, oh, I need those, and then bought an individual box of needles. So they pay the postage for it, they pay for the needles, they pay a premium. So the bigger companies would just go, happy days, let them do that. We would get in touch with those people and say, do you want to buy more stuff? Because you're going to save money in the long run. You need to, but across 3 years, the amount of tattoo artists who did not in any way care about the fact that I'm going to buy a box of needles, 22 quid, but I'm going to pay 7 quid postage on top to get it here tomorrow because I need it immediately. I've run out. They didn't care that they'll spend 30 quid a box. And I'd sit and think, you could buy 5 of those and you'll pay 18 quid a box and save 12 quid, 60 quid in total. And I don't know if that's just because I'm getting to be a boring old man now, or if it's because I've been in the industry now long enough that I just go, right, okay, where is my money going? Or if it's because I'm a father, or so now I've got kids who spend all my money, whatever it is. Understanding that mindset is something that the vast majority of tattoo artists just don't.
No,
So,
100%. I've seen that. I've seen that all the way through because it was, we've changed predominantly from cash to card.
yeah,
I don't see cash anymore, but that cash in, cash in, cash out leads to a very chaotic mindset,
mhm,
chaotic lifestyle. It's all, oh, I
absolutely.
need more cash. And even it just leads to disorganization to the point where, yeah, you just end up spending money you don't need to spend to carry on that chaos.
So how
Um,
much would you say you're saving then? Just having Caroline now? And
mhm,
should we make today the launch of Caroline's new accountancy business
absolutely.
for tattoo
Yeah, yeah,
artists?
yeah.
We should let her know that we've done that on her behalf. But how much would you say, right? If you had to put a figure on it by saying you just sat down for a little bit, focused, and said, okay, this is what I'm spending, and this is what I could save. How much do you reckon you've saved a month?
Oh, saved a month. Even in utilities, it must be at least 200 quid on the other studio. I'm not including rent because obviously that's a given. But yeah, at least 200 on utilities.
2.5 grand a year,
Yeah.
just
So,
on that.
and even, I mean, same with needles. I will, you get people, yeah, I've not ordered for ages. No, because what did I order last time? I ordered absolutely tons,
Hmm.
because so I'll just get it, stock it up. And yes, I am working between two studios. So I've got, literally a doctor's suitcase with my needles and machines because I have a tendency to forget things.
Hmm.
But yeah, you turn up without a tattoo machine, you're not tattooing, trust me. Um, so yeah, and ordering ahead, and it just, even to the silly point at Jez's place, it became a standing joke, Oh, my iPad's flat. Oh, my iPad's flat again. Oh, my iPad's. I used to get in the morning, just get his iPad and put it on charge. So no, it'd be
Hmm.
flat because he just started chaos. It was just funny.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah,
But even having the mindset and just to not, right, bedtime, just put my laptop on charge, put my iPad on charge, make sure that's ready for the morning. It's just that organizational skills really. And
absolutely.
I probably do. Obviously, I can squeeze it in here now because this is a new studio. It's still picking up space. I get time between appointments to do admin and catching up. But yeah, I'd probably spend a day a week on, I suppose, an admin day, catching
Yep.
up on
Good
things.
stuff.
And it is, you do that anyway. If you're not doing that, you should be doing that. And even people I tattoo, other tradesmen, they're like, oh, this is my invoicing night, this is my quotes night. They
Hmm.
can't have time for that because they know if they don't do it, they're not going to have the business because
Yeah, of course.
you're planning for 3 to 6 months ahead, not the here and now. You're okay for the here and now.
Absolutely. And I think with tattoo artists, we focused on making money. So every time you do a tattoo, you're making money. So you dedicate your days to making that money. But what you don't realize is that even if you set half a day or one full day, I have an admin day. And the days I tattoo are for making money. The admin day is for saving money. So I
Mm.
use the admin day to go, right, okay, where am I at? What do I need to do? How do I put that away? How do I make sure that I'm getting the best deal on this? The admin day is so massively important. And it's a day to save you back. There is that as well. But
Wow.
so, I mean, from your perspective, you're lucky. I mean, you have that background where you've sat in front of a desk, you've been detail oriented, you have a missus who's detail oriented too. But you also have that creative side
Mm.
where, like I said, you are incredibly creative. I mean, the desk that you made is incredible. So you're obviously very good with that. With the airbrushing, with tattooing, you have all of this creativity. So when you got into tattooing and you saw the industry boom, because you've lived through the industry boom the same way as I have, we got to a point where everybody would just go on Pinterest and they'd pick stuff off Pinterest and they would go, okay, we just blend these two images together. And after a while, one of the biggest things that I see artists deal with is burnout. Lots. So there's the mental burnout of just tattooing too much. So you can take time off. No problem. Take some time off, relax. That deals with that in a big way. But creative burnout, that's a different story altogether. Have you dealt with creative burnout? If you have, how have you dealt with it? Or if you haven't, how have you managed to maintain that level of creativity that you have?
Yeah, I've dealt with it massively. But it doesn't, for me, it doesn't come from art. It doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from external factors. I've always been a happy artist. A lot of people I know, a lot of the artists I know paint when they're sad, miserable, down. I've always been a happy artist. I want to paint and draw when I'm positive, and I want to put that back out into the world, which is difficult to do unless you're happy and jolly.
Mhm,
So yeah, we've had a very, 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 very difficult 2 or 3 years,
mhm,
which is an enormous, story on itself, and the personal effect that had on me to be positive, jolly, creative, it just completely extinguished it completely. The good thing I love about tattooing is people give you a lot of guidance on what they want. They turn up on the morning, they get tattooed, they go in the evening. That's it. It's all contained within that one section. I've
uh-huh,
got paintings well, I think you even see it. I've got paintings that I started and not finished because that joy left. And there's so much emotion in that painting
uh-huh,
that I can't finish it. There's an attachment to it. Oh, this happened halfway through that painting, so that's all I think about now. I've got two or three that I probably would like to pick up and finish, but I really need to be in an ultra positive place to overcome that negativity that was then ingested and applied to that piece of artwork.
yeah,
But for me, tattooing and being creative is my happy place, always has been. And in fact, I suppose being in that studio environment, where you've got a family to keep you going, inspire you, pick you up, push you,
mhm,
keep you moving forward is so so important. And
mhm,
it's always been external factors, life, you know, um, relationships, and all that other stuff, family stuff. That's always been an external factor, which has brought me down and doused the flame. And to keep going with all that is really, really, really difficult. But yeah,
yeah,
tattooing and creativity and art for me has always been a happy place. It's always been my comfort zone.
okay,
Um, and yeah, you saw in my other studio, I've got three easels on the wall with the intention of having loads on the go. One of
yep,
them's now here behind me.
mhm, yeah, yeah,
Um, so yeah, I want to repeat that. I want in my downtime, I want to be creative. And it is appreciated in this neck of the woods with Glastonbury up the road. I mean, there's a huge art movement here,
of
and
course, yeah,
you want to get more involved in that. But
100%,
that that burnout, is just the worst, most soul destroying thing
mhm,
ever. Like ever, ever, ever. And I suppose tattooing is the worst job. And I can directly compare this because I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, and people just say it was just a cat. Anyway, lost my cat when I was in law, sat in my office, miserable as sin. I could hide in my office, spin
uh-huh,
round in my chair, be miserable and get through the day, still hide behind a phone, talking to people on email and all the rest of it. I wasn't customer facing.
mhm,
Well, 3 or 4 weeks ago, a similar thing happened. We lost our cat, got run over, literally
oh,
just
mate, sorry,
trying to traveled 100 miles to get tattooed. There's no cat. He was en route. There's no canceling him. Fantastic guy. You just got to suck it up and put it and bury it and just
mm,
get through the day. And yeah, just wait till you get home
mhm,
and let it all out. And that's the shockingly bad part of tattooing, where
mhm,
you're mapped out for such a long time. If life deals you a really horrible blow, you just gotta suck it up and carry on. And
yeah, there's
then this persona, this brand, make sure the client has a great time. You brought a
mhm,
friend down and all the rest of it. So you
yep,
babysit them. And that's just so, so, so difficult to do. Um,
and we don't really again, it's something people don't tend to think about, look, as
mm,
you do not get to turn up
mm,
have a bad day.
that,
Otherwise, the person that you're dealing with, who's relying on you, who's trusted you enough with the skin, and they're relying on you to give them a good experience, because everybody wants a good tattoo experience. And you can be in a position where you've just gone through the worst thing, but you have to bring your A game. You have
mhm,
to be somebody who is reliably good all round, no matter what your situation is. So I do understand you when you come from that. And I am sorry to hear about your cat, mate. I'm a cat
mm,
person myself, so I know how that feels. Um, but one of the things, the reason I brought it up is in the tattoo industry at the moment, one of the main things that I find myself working with people is that mindset. I'm helping people through burnout by saying to them, look, there are different coping mechanisms that you can use. There are different techniques that you can use that will help you to be able to deal with the things that you're talking about. And you could be having the most stinking day. Use this technique and it will kind of trip your mindset, trip your mind into the place that needs to be until you're on your own and you can deal with your own things another way. So, how do you deal with those hard times? What is it that you do? Because I know you've said you just have to put it to the side.
Mm.
That's not an easy thing to do for a lot of people. So you might do it, it might come naturally to you, it might be something that you don't really think about, but a lot of people out there, that's not an easy concept to them. So when you say you just put it to the side, you're having the worst day ever, what do you do to do that?
I think there is a lot of truth in that. You do literally bury it deep down, and then you deal with it when you have time to deal with it. And so I've read a lot of books over the years, and I've read that that is a lot of that is a very common thing for a lot of people to do.
Mm,
Yeah, even people like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his book, and I read that probably 20 years ago. He said he didn't allow himself to get emotional because it would affect his training, affect everything else. And now, in later in life, he's become literally a robot, ironically,
mm,
um, and he has to work on bringing his emotions out and understand what makes people tick
mhm,
and all that stuff. So yeah, I probably subconsciously adopted that mindset of just burying it. I ain't got time to feel that at this moment in time. I'll deal with it when I do have time. But the problem is when you keep burying stuff, it is literally the straw that breaks the camel's back, and you end up
mhm,
exploding probably at the people who care about you the most and cause an enormous amount of damage. But for me, in recent years, you know, as you get older and wiser, I think for me is realizing the importance of friends and family and
uh-huh,
support. And I
yeah,
think moving to Somerset for me was probably the best thing I could have done. Having such beautiful countryside, even going out for a walk, taking the dog out, going out for a walk with Caroline and Evie, and just sucking in nature. And yeah, I suppose realizing the world's a beautiful place, um, and just reminding yourself of that,
uh-huh,
and reminding yourself why you do it. You live to either work or you work to live, and having that balance is really, really, really important. But I think fresh air. I mean, you forget how important fresh air is. And what we told
yep,
during camp, go for a walk, get some fresh
absolutely.
air. I had
Hmm.
no idea there's a nature reserve on my doorstep in Hampshire when I bought my house. I found it in
Hmm.
COVID. Lived there for like 2 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And that just shows how much of how you so easy to get on that treadmill, on that hamster wheel, and just keep going, 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 going. Must keep going. I don't work. I don't get my money. I don't pay my bills, and my house gets repossessed, and my world falls apart. But when I suppose, yeah, when the wheels do come off, the world doesn't fall apart as you think it would,
Uh-huh,
and you do become a little bit maverick about stuff and a little bit anarchic, and just go, yeah, do you know what? What's the worst that can happen? I've got my friends, I've got my family, I've got my health, and that'll see you a lot further than I think people think it would.
yeah.
Um, because I
So for
was,
you, sorry, mate, go on.
yeah, sorry, I mean, I would say I was very process driven, very rule driven, very black and white. Oh, you can't do that. That's this. That's that. That's this. And yeah, having that perspective changed of what's the worst that's going to happen, you know,
Yeah,
and you realize it's not that bad at all,
of
you
course.
know.
So, from your perspective, then, the artwork and the tattooing was the thing that made you happy. That's the thing
Mhm.
that you like having your easels on the wall. You want to feel happy when you're doing these things, and that brings you happiness. But you also have the understanding that too much time at work, concentrating on work, working about work, can be oppressive. And stepping away from it and spending time with family and being outside, and that is the release to
Mhm.
you. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah.
Brilliant. Because I mean, look, you can be happy doing something and genuinely love the thing that you do an incredible amount. It can still stress you out. It can still, even though there's happiness, it is still adding to your weekly allowance of stress. And we only have so much. You can only fill a cup so far before it spills over. So I'm very much the same as yourself. If I want to de stress, I go with my family, I go out, I try and get myself away so I can just have some free space, free time So I can relate to that massively. Um, One thing that I do want to talk about is when we first met. Now, I'm going to tell you something really quickly. I had a conversation yesterday with a tattoo studio. And obviously, I've been doing this for a long time, so I speak to a lot of different people. And somebody who I spoke to yesterday, we did a quick analysis of their business. And they told us about the website they had and all of these different booking apps and systems that they used. And they were spending, just on getting bookings and the systems that they had, 400 quid a month. And I showed them, you can do the things that you do and all of those apps and all of those systems that you have. You can do all of those things by centralizing them, and everything that they provide you can cost you about 40 quid a month.
Mhm.
So it was 360 quid cheaper to do it. Now, when I came to meet you, you were spread across a bunch of different apps,
Yeah.
and you did used to use a bunch of different things.
Mhm.
And after a while of having conversations, we we got you to build a new website. Was it
Mhm.
Caroline who built your website? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, she smashed through it. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was absolutely smashed through it.
And this is
Um,
it.
it was so much easier
Yeah.
than we thought it would be. I did web design millions of years ago. It's just laborious, but yeah, there's a Wix site. It's literally drag and drop. It's so easy to do. It
And
was
this
still,
is, can you see this, Stu?
yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
And that's, I mean, that's your logo,
yeah.
which is outstanding. Excellent, excellent logo. And you've got the green on there. And I mean, this is the quality of the work that we were talking about earlier in the podcast. There's your beds that you bought off the website for 500 quid cheaper. There's your logo outside. Like, this is you, and everything about this. I love everything about this. We've spoke about this before, and the branding and everything's on there. All of the call to actions and everything. This parallax scroll effect, but everything that you've done on there, you can see here that here's your desk. I love that desk. Everything that you have done, mate. I always say to people, when someone steps into your tattoo studio, if they have got in touch with you through your website, when they walk into your studio, they should feel like they're stepping into your website. It should feel
Mhm.
like, like Mary Poppins, where he draws the picture on the pavement and they all jump in. It should feel like that. And everything about your website screams the same setup, the same branding, everything the same as your studio. So has that made a difference to you? And if it has made a difference, mate, what is the noticeable difference that you have seen?
Um, Financially, yeah, the booking apps were just I lost all the time. They were an absolute mess. They had all these quirks in it that if it was a new client that they'd charge 50% of the booking. If you're doing day rates at three, four, £500, that's a lot of money to lose. And if a client had changed his email address that was classed as a new client, then you had to fight to get your money back. And it was just a nightmare. It really was.
Mhm.
So yeah, the website, everything is under one roof. Everything's on the website, booking system, calendar, information, blog, it's all under one roof. And you're in complete control of that. You are a master of your own destiny. The website's always going to be there. Relying on social media, I have always agreed it's like being in a boat without a rudder. It'll take you places, but you have no idea where it's going to land, who's going to see it, what the
Mhm.
interaction. It's chaos. But to have that website tailored to how you want, what you put out there is what you're going to get back. And for example, now I'm like, okay, well, I need to put more smaller stuff on there. I need to put more walk-in stuff on there because people are like, do you just do portraits and realism? I'm like, no, I can tattoo everything.
Uh-huh.
So I'm mindful that people want to see that. But the amount of people who've walked in here and gone, well, I said, why, how'd you find us? What did you, oh, your website. As soon as I clicked on your website, that was it, done deal. And I was like, okay, cool. And it's nice. It is the footfall I get here. People walking in is because they've seen the shop, love the look, feel, aesthetic, everything. Um, or it's the website. And that, even though I've done nothing on social media apart from post the odd thing, I've not done an advertising campaign yet. I,
Mhm.
I will do.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I've not pushed social media at all. I've just used it as a landing platform to push people to the website. The website gets so much traction. I mean, I posted, a couple of things in some local groups just saying, hello, this is me, this is what I'm about. I think the website got more hits on that weekend than in the 2 years previously it's been up. Um,
Fantastic.
which and it goes off constantly. It tells me, "Oh, someone's on your website from, so and so."
Mhm.
It is constant on the website, which is fantastic. The website is doing its job every single day. It gives
Brilliant.
people enough information, directs them. They can use WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, ring us up. It gives us directions, parking, all the rest of it.
Uh,
It is a one-stop shop of how do I find you? How do I book in? What are you about? And all this stuff. And even now, this morning I'm writing. Um, Biggest thing here is people just don't know me, and I'm not a fan of bio pages on websites. I think it's a little bit pretentious, but the first thing people come in and say, "Who are you? What are you about? How long have you been doing this? What do
yep.
you do?"
Mhm.
I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I suppose
Absolutely.
you're not going to know that without walking in here and talking to me."
Of course.
Why I love being on the high street. I like talking to people, steering people and helping people and directing people. But yeah, if that's not on the website and I haven't told anyone, how are they going to know? And
Yeah, of course.
the
So
website,
it's
game changer,
yeah,
massively.
I've noticed that for
Saved
you,
me
mate. And
so much money.
but again, it's because you've been serious about the design. You've designed it in a really considered way. So everything about it's worked really well for you. And it's helped you to centralize all of that functionality in your business. Um, so look, we do have to kind of call it a day, Stu.
Okay,
Um, I do want to say to you, mate, that known you the last 2 years now, I class you as a mate. I mean, we do message each other every now and again, just for the sake of
absolutely.
messaging. But seeing what you've gone through the last few years and seeing what you've been able to create, the brand that you've created, this fantastic tattoo shop that you've created, all just from that understanding of these few key pieces can give you something that is special in the area that you're in. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch, mate, and I really, really do think that you've created something fantastic that I, it's only going to get a positive response because you are so considered in the way that you approach things, and you're a bloody good tattoo artist. To top all that,
Thank you. No, I'd like
you're
to say
welcome.
thanks for your help and guidance and, the voice of reason in a way, because I say amount of stuff we've spoke about over the last couple of years. And even when I'm having a rant about, people not appreciating, I suppose, the craft industry that we're in, and you're
Yeah,
just chill, it's just people. And I suppose I do need that, I suppose, reining in now and again, because I am very precious and proud of what I do. And
yeah,
in the
rightly
like,
so, mate.
you like people, you just draw on other people,
Mhm.
and hard to remember that sometimes. And yeah, your like I say, your guidance has been is super, super, super important. And I think the industry, let's say, needs more people like you to tell people the advanced stuff and the basics. There's not enough people. If you go to a convention, there should be a room where you go, this is how you do your books, this is how you do your taxes, this is how you do this is how you grow your business.
100%. Absolutely.
Why is there not more of
Right?
that? Because they don't teach you an apprenticeship.
Because
It's
tattooing, making money from tattooing for the last 15 years has been easy. It's
yeah,
been very
yeah.
easy. So it's never had to consider it. It's not easy now. There's so much competition. Um, People do have to start thinking about these things, which is why I'm doing the things that I am doing now. So I do appreciate you saying all that, mate.
It's so needed. It really is so needed. And like I say, I'm
100%.
more than willing to help anyone out if I can, anytime. But yeah,
Well,
there
I might
does.
have to start getting you involved in this regularly.
Yeah, and like I
Yeah.
say, I've not got a problem at all. Let's say I've got a background that can help, and I used to work with the council in Portsmouth, and they were trying to implement a standard scheme and all the rest of it, and
Mhm.
it's just so hard to get traction and get people behind it until something goes wrong. No one's interested, are they?
Mhm.
So yeah, it is tough to get people to effectively, pull their head out their ass and just work things as a business, as
Yeah.
rather than just
I think
ru-
the majority of people that I'm dealing with, mate, over the last few years have been people who do see themselves almost at rock bottom. It's people who are kind of going, I'm struggling and I
Mhm.
need a little bit of help. But it's good that people do have that ability to accept that and say, right, I'm going to get some help.
It's
Um,
always going to be better after that until they've
mhm,
experienced genuine hardship, genuine, absolutely on the floor, on your face, nothing.
mhm,
They'll remember that and they'll never let them get back there again, and they'll be better
100%.
for it. It's a horrible
Yeah.
thing to say, but that's what the army do. They break you down to nothing, then build you up to what they want you to be.
Of course.
There's
And,
a lot to get.
yep, I mean, some of the best life coaches in the world, that's what they say. People who've
Mhm,
gone through adversity, severe adversity, are the most powerful people in the world because they've
mhm,
had to experience something and get that. What does, I'm trying to think, David Goggins calls it his calloused mind, doesn't he? He
mhm.
says, I have a
Yeah,
calloused mind. I've been through that much torture. But, yeah, so again, look, Stu, I do appreciate it. Thank you very much for being
great.
on with me.
For
And
inviting me.
yeah, mate, like I said, Caroline, get a tattoo accountancy going, and
Yeah,
I will definitely be in touch about involving you more in the community and stuff, mate. Because I think you
yeah,
have got such a good story. I think you've put so much work into making sure that you have an incredibly powerful studio that people could only benefit from hearing that from you. So I'll message you after this, and we'll see if we can figure something out with that.
yeah, yeah, cool. I've been invited to a careers afternoon at a local school actually, so that'd be quite good. Talking
Oh, mate, you'll love that.
through, so that'd be good.
Absolutely love that.
Yeah, 100%. Happy to get involved. So,
All right.
thanks again. Honestly, really appreciate it.
Right, mate. Thanks very
Cool.
much, Stu.
Speak to you soon.